Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today I have a super special interview for you. A family friend of ours, Sarah, who has been through a pretty tumultuous time transitioning and then detransitioning. You've got quite the story to tell, hey?
I've definitely got a story to tell, and I'm shy, but it's a story that I think really needs to get put out there to help other people, not only me.
Did you want to just kind of start from the beginning, like why you transitioned in the first place?
Why I transitioned, honestly, from a very young age, I'd always had this thought where it was kind of like, well, I looked up to my dad, honestly, the protector of the household and just a very strong person despite a lot of the things he'd been through. And I, as a kid, I was always, like, I liked more masculine things. I like video gaming. I like, I don't know, just like motorcycles or something I really love. And I even, like, I wanted to, like, grow a beard like my dad did at that point. So I never really wanted, Barbies or dresses or any of the things people would try to kind of push on me as a girl. And growing up, it was kind of like in some family situations, like relatives, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, we're going on a family fishing trip. It's like the guys can go, but the girls can't." And I was like, "I like fishing. I want to go."
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
And
I had a lot of those experiences as a kid too, as a tomboy, and it can be frustrating.
yeah, for sure. And I think, like, I would have been okay being a tomboy, but I think, I had a ton of guy friends, so when I hit puberty, I think it was less gender dysphoria, and I want to use the word dysphoria still because I became uncomfortable with my body because I was being looked at in a way I didn't want to be looked at, right? So it was just very difficult because I was no longer looked at as one of the friends, one of the homies. It was just like,
There's like, once you hit puberty, there's that sexualization and gender separation that
yeah.
occurs.
And I mean, like, I hate to say it, but a lot of girls and probably even guys do go through trauma where, I mean, I went through trauma and I was kind of just at this point, I was like disgusted to be a girl and be looked at as a girl. And maybe it wasn't necessarily that I wanted to be a guy. I mean, it's like, it's a very hard line to walk because it's like you really don't know. And I didn't go through therapy. I didn't, like, they just, like, I was kind of like, yeah, I want to be a guy, or I think I'm a guy. And it was kind of just, that was it.
You just wanted to be treated like a normal human. You wanted to be able to do the things that boys did without being seen as separate. And because of that, you kind of felt in this current culture the only way to do that was to become a guy. Because I guess the legend of the tomboy is over.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, I don't know, it's just, I never really had a lot of female friends, but the ones I did have, they were more accepting or like gushy when guys looked at them or loved talking about boys and stuff, and I was just never really like that. So I was like, hey, maybe I'm different. And
So let's talk about that process of beginning the transition. How did that start? Like, did you go to a counselor? Did a teacher tell you to go? Did you go to a doctor? What began there?
what happened is a trans person came to our school and was kind of like talking about this community and explaining, like, if you don't feel like you fit in, or if you feel this type of way, like you don't fit in with your own body, then you might be trans. So
They had them come to your school. What age were you when they came to do that
I
speech?
think this was either late elementary school or early high school, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So yeah, I went to my mom and I was like, hey, I think I'm a boy. And, you know, naturally your parents are going to be like, oh, wait, what? Because they don't really know a lot about this. Most of them don't. So then I think, yeah, I went to the Vancouver hospital, children's hospital, and they were kind of like, well, yeah, you got to go through therapy to get testosterone. But that's not true, because I could just go to a different source. That's what I did. I couldn't afford a therapist. My family couldn't afford it at that time. So I went to a different source, and the only question I got pretty much was, are you sure there's no other feeling behind why you want to identify as a male or feel you identify as a male? And I was a kid. I was like 15. I wanted what I wanted. So, and I genuinely felt this, what the community described as dysphoria. I genuinely felt that. So I was like, nope, nothing. I'm a kid. I want what I want. And if you're putting that huge decision in a child's hands, they can change their mind, but when they do, it's
It feels like it's too late.
I mean, honestly, to get farther into my transition, like, I think I started testosterone at 15, and then when I was 16, I had met with a doctor who was kind of like, yeah, you can get your top surgery, and they had a spot that was open, so I only had to wait like a month. And then basically they kept calling me and be like, if you don't tell us you're doing this for sure, we're giving your spot away. And I understand that. Like, I understand that doctors are very busy, but at the same time, like, that's me as a trans person at the time being like, oh no, I'm not going to be able to get part of my transformation done, and you want it done quickly, because, like...
And they're, like, pressuring you.
Yeah, pressuring, and...
Wait, did the top surgery cost money?
Nope, completely free. I didn't have to pay a penny, honestly.
How? Like, how does that happen? Also, sorry, I want to... You said you went to an alternative source instead of the Vancouver hospital for testosterone. What was that alternative source?
I just went to a youth clinic, and then they sent me to another clinic to talk to a doctor who is... I probably spent, like, 10 minutes, if that, talking to him, and then all of a sudden I leave with, like, testosterone, a prescription for it. So
at 15, after 10 minutes talking to a doctor.
Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I did have like checkups with the doctor at a youth clinic. I had checkups, but the thing is, like, when you're depressed, I was diagnosed with depression, like chronic depression, and doctors have this thing, or therapists even, where they'll be like, here, take this medication, come back to me in a month. But it's like, a happy pill. I'm going to be happy in a month when I come back, and I'm not even going to know what my problems are. So the thing for me was, I think once I finally went off of, I think it was citalopram I took first, then I took fluoxetine, you either feel fake happy or you feel like a robot. So I was kind of like, you know what, I want to get off this prescription and deal with my problems where I can feel the full extent of my emotions, so I will know if something's wrong or if it needs to be fixed and I need to face it head on. And so that's what I did, and I think that's when I started getting that feeling of, oh, like, wait, did I make a mistake?
So did you go and get testosterone and get your breast surgery while you were on these pills the whole time?
I did.
Wow. And you started to feel that maybe you made a mistake when you went off them.
Yeah.
What do you think of that? Like,
I think that instead of just putting a child on antidepressants off the get-go, they need to discuss whatever issues they may have, whatever deep feelings they may have, because when they're on these antidepressants, those deep feelings aren't going to be there, and they're not even going to want to come back to discuss them, because they're like, I'm happy, I don't need therapy. That's what it is, really.
But these drugs, I guess, don't really do it forever for you. They have consequences as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of things have more consequences than we would ever know. Like, I mean, as a parent or as a doctor, you could just be like, okay, let's put our child on, or this child on hormone blockers. But the thing is, we don't even know what that's going to do. And if that was used as chemical castration on criminals and also gave osteoporosis to a young teenage girl from using it, then there's a problem there too.
Mm-hmm. Now, once you had that feeling of, oh my goodness, like I may have made a mistake, what were the thoughts rushing through your head at that time?
It was a really dark place, and I was kind of just, the one thought was, it's too late to go back, and the guilt of all the people around me that I didn't really give an option to, because I was so sure, like I was sure for years, I was sure after top surgery, and I think in a total I was on testosterone for like 5 years, and top surgery like 4 years after, I was happy, and then all of a sudden these thoughts just started coming, and I didn't know what to do, and I started taking my time to look up the detransition process, and I was surprised that there was no help for my community. And it felt like, you have this community with like open loving arms, like, we'll accept you, but then sometimes in my case, in D-trans case, a lot of people will be like, oh, well then you were just a trans trender, or like push me away. So that's like, in a way,
that love and acceptance disappears as soon as you don't want to be a part of that transition.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. And like, I think the most shocking part of all of this for me is that you could get testosterone after a 10-minute meeting with the doctor. You could get your breasts removed after just 1 month waiting period at 16 years old. Yeah. And that's all free, that's all paid for. But then they'll do nothing to undo it if they've made a mistake. Like, have you called these doctors and said, is there something that can be done for me?
I've looked into it, and honestly, for some reason, I don't know what it is, but it feels like anytime anyone hears that I'm detransitioning, they don't want to have anything to do with me. It's like, I have contacted places, like some on, I'm thinking the male to female voice surgery, like if that works for a trans woman, why won't that work for me? So I contact these places, and it's like I get no word back from any of them. It's like they just don't even want to deal with me. I don't know.
One thing I definitely wanted to do today is we're building a GiveSendGo for you. Not GoFundMe, guys. We don't like that site. But a GiveSendGo for you to help, raise money, because the government literally will do nothing. The government will make all these mistakes, push them on children, push these courses on kids, and then when they've made a mistake, like you said, you're just stonewalled. None of these places will reply. They won't talk to you. They won't help you. There's no money in it. So it's up to the community and people who actually care about these mistakes the government are making. I hope to fix it. And in this GiveSendGo, I want to help pay for some of these surgeries, some of these detransition processes. Can you tell me a little bit about what goes into that, like what you're hoping to get done to kind of, I don't know, bring you back to you?
There's just, there's laser hair removal, and even the costs on that are overwhelming. And then there's the voice surgery, which I mentioned, and it's like, it sucks not to have my voice, because I used to like things like singing, or as a shy person, I'm kind of trying to get out of my shell, but it doesn't really help when I have this male voice that I can't quite get rid of, and then you get these looks, and it's hard. And there's a lot of effects of testosterone. You can't pick and choose what happens, right? So you'll like start losing hair up here, or even in some cases like lose a lot more than that, get hair like everywhere. You'll get facial changes, or like acne and acne scars left over, and all this stuff you got to deal with. And so it's like I've noticed some facial changes, and of course, you know, my chest is another issue. And I I just want to get to a point where I don't look into a mirror and like want to cry when I see myself, no matter like how much I try to look feminine or present feminine as much as I'm comfortable with, because I don't know, it's just I can understand like where the parents would be coming from with this fear of their young trans child ending up in my shoes, and I would never wish that on anyone. But I think one thing I really did want to say to the parents specifically is one quote I really like from the Bible, Matthew 7:1. Do not judge, or you will be judged. And I feel like that is something a lot of people forget. So when it comes to your child, you might be terrified, you might want to not acknowledge this is a thing, but whatever you do not send them away, and do not make them feel stupid, because when you're doing that, you are pushing them into the arms of this loving community, and you are making them feel neglected and heartbroken by the fact that you're not there for them. So when or if they decide to detransition, they're not going to want to come to you and they're going to feel alone, and that's even if they do make it to follow the path of detransitioning, and they might not even make it because it's a really hard path to be in, especially alone, and I am so thankful that I'm not alone.
I'm thankful for you too, that you're not alone. Your parents have been amazing. They're here right now watching the interview. And I think that's excellent advice. You have to give love the entire time, especially like you said, there's this community that offers so much love and acceptance, and you know, you're going to be propped up in society as this person, part of this LGBTQ community. But then, like you said, it's kind of can be a bit of a bait and switch, because that love is only there if you're...
Yeah, I honestly feel like when I was transitioning, I had a ton of people like come up and pat me on the back and be like, we're so proud of you for being who you truly are. But when I detransitioned, nothing. It was just kind of like awkwardness, or I didn't talk to these people anymore, or they started trying to get me to validate myself again. Like,
why can't being who you are be just Sarah?
Yeah.
Like, they want being who you are being a part of their community, and that's all. You can't be who you are outside of their context of who you are.
There's a lot of people like, well, I can't believe you would have gone this far if you weren't trans. And I'm like, it happens, and it happens more than people think. But when people like me are built to feel ashamed of what happened to us and pushed aside, we don't want to talk about it. It's really hard. And it's like, I have a lot of online friends and stuff too that I don't even want to talk about what I've been through, but I'm really trying here, because I think more people need to open up about this. But it does make it hard if it's labeled as hate speech, because it's not. It's hey, if you go through this might happen, it could happen. Your brain doesn't finish developing until like mid to late 20s, so it could very well change. And when they're doing hormone blockers at 12 and testosterone or even estrogen at like 13, 14, it's just I don't even know anymore.
And do you feel like a girl now? Is that how you feel internally?
I mean, I feel like a girl, but I also just feel like me. I feel like a girl as in I I don't have to wear dresses. I don't have to like painting my nails. I don't have to like gossiping. I because there's just these specific roles that are shoved onto people. So, I mean, if you're a dude and you like playing with Barbies, you like playing dress up, okay, that's fine. People are gonna make fun of you for it, but that's what people do because not everybody's nice. And if you're a girl and you like sports or you like wrestling, that's okay too. And I think it took this for me to really see that and see that the traumas I went through, I don't have to change myself so that I can feel comfortable again. I have to change the people that I am around so I don't have to deal with what they have done to me or what I have let them do to me, you know?
That's an incredible sentiment. The idea that, you know, why should we be chopping up our bodies to make ourselves acceptable for the people around us to be treated the way we want to be treated? If you want to be a tomboy, if you want to go out and go fishing with the boys, if you want to go out and live your life in this way, not be sexualized, then you can change the people you're around to be good people rather than chop yourself up at the behest of government suggestions.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just scared that, you know, like as a detransitioner with like chronic depression is technically a mental illness, PTSD is a mental illness, and there is this vet that cried out for help basically because he had these problems. So he was like, you know, I need help like feeling better, I'm feeling suicidal, and then they recommended assisted suicide.
That was the Canadian government hotline. I did a video on that. It's crazy.
I'm scared that that's what they're going to start doing to people like me because when you're suicidal, you're in a vulnerable place and the last thing you need is someone recommending like...
It's almost like the same with the trans stuff. The instant recommendation was, well, let's start putting testosterone in you and cutting things up, not let's deal with these underlying problems. And I think that is like such a incredible, you know, point you've touched on is when you go on these drugs for depression that doctors prescribe sometimes, it can make you a robot so that you never deal with the real underlying issues there, which you've highlighted some of them. It's you actually needed to change aspects of your life instead of taking pills to numb your mind.
Yeah, exactly. That's, I mean, like, I'm just, honestly, I'm not on any antidepressants anymore, and I'm glad I'm not because now I have the opportunity, I have these emotions. I have a lot of emotions which are hard to deal with what I'm going through. It's not easy, but nothing good ever is easy. So having the opportunity to work on myself and my happiness and my family's happiness and the way we all feel is just, I'm thankful for that, even though I want to say, like, growing up for me came in weird stages. Like, I'm if I didn't
I feel that.
Yeah, like
I feel that. Yeah. First of all, I want to mention again to everyone that the fundraiser for Sarah to help with bringing Sarah back to Sarah, undoing the damage that the government and the sick culture have done, that GoFundMe is right down in the description, also in the comments section. And Sarah, I just wanted to give you an opportunity. I'm sure there are a lot of thoughts you have, things that I haven't touched on. Is there like a final message you wanted to give to people watching this, people who may have children transitioning, maybe thinking about it themselves, maybe starting detransitioning, or just someone curious about this whole new world that the West has been introduced to?
I think I would love to start with a message to the youth that may be transitioning. Maybe your parents are terrified. Maybe you think they're acting in a way that is not appropriate or welcoming to you, but they're just scared. And in most cases, they're probably just terrified because they love you to death and they do not want what happened to me happening to you. So you can rush into this all you like, but you can't rush out, because they will coax you in, they will be there for you, but the moment you change your mind, I thought there was nobody. I was in such a dark place, and I really don't want to see anyone in that dark place. And like, I know maybe you feel dysphoria, but you gotta figure out what specifically that dysphoria is, because if it's these ridiculous social standards of Photoshop women, or them doing their whole TikTok thing, or all the plastic surgery or whatever they went through, or if you just don't feel confident in yourself, if somebody doesn't look at you for who you are inside, walk away from that person, because they're not worth you. They're not.
Beautiful. It's truly beautiful.
And one more thing for
please.
detransitioners. You probably feel very, very alone right now, and like the only thing you have is an online community that might be banned in a week. Who knows? But you are loved, you're not alone. You really aren't. I mean, like, if anyone wants to reach out to me, if they're struggling too, I'm more than happy. I'm always looking for friends, and I feel like the best people I've met in life are the people who've gone through hell, because they know.
Is there anywhere people can find you? I can put your socials below or something?
I could like put my Discord. Honestly, I reasonably don't like social media anymore.
Fair enough. I'll put your Discord below in the comment section if you wanted to send some love to Sarah, especially if you're someone who's detransitioning or going through this crisis. Maybe parents that have questions, anything. Sorry if your inbox gets absolutely spammed. So good. But thank you so much for doing this interview. I think, as much as I'm happy to hopefully be helping out with this GiveSendGo, I think you're helping a lot of people as well, and just the message that you're sharing, it's an incredibly brave thing to do. And
I hope so, and I'm really thankful for this, because I was in, as I said, I was in a really dark place before this, so it was honestly mind-blowing. It was to the point where I'm like, something good is happening to me, like, okay.
Sarah, I can assure you there are even more good things to come in the future. Y'all, I'm looking at you. You go hit that link below. We are going to get Sarah back. I mean, you're already freaking beautiful, already, but we're going to just get you back to where you want to be. Back to you. So everyone, thank you so much for watching this. It means the world to me and means the world to Sarah and her family. Please go check out that GiveSendGo down below. Check out the links, Sarah's Discord if you wanted to chat to her. Send some lovely comments as well. I'm sure you'll be reading the comments.
Thanks.
Yes. Thanks, homies. I'll see you guys next time.